From the East Coast to the West Coast, we are everywhere true crime is. We are asking for the public's help. We are searching in the woods. We are doing what it takes here on the Bullhorn Betty channels to find answers to the most alarming cases we have been watching on the news. I can tell you personally that I have traveled this entire country seeking these answers and bringing that content right here to you here on the Bullhorn Betty channels and Bullhorn Betty crime stories. We are happy with the work that we've done. We brought many answers to the public, and we have defied mainstream media in our pursuit of the truth in these cases. We will continue to work. We will continue to fight for these victims, and we will continue to tell their stories here on my channels. Welcome to the Bullhorn Betty brand of channels and the Coffee Club. Thank you for your love, thank you for your support, and more importantly, thank you for allowing me to bring these victims' stories to each and every one of you, advocating for each of these victims. God bless you, God bless America, and more importantly, God bless our victims. I'll wait for a few people to get in this morning. Good morning. I hope everybody's doing well. We may have to walk around because I just realized I don't have anything. Hey, late girl, it's nice to see you. Oakley's mom, good morning, guys. You guys are up awfully early. Did you guys go to sleep? Did you guys go to sleep? I'm just waking up. So you guys get bedhead Betty this morning. Like I literally got up and pulled my hair back into a ponytail and that's that. And that's that. So this week has been a little crazy for me, so I haven't been on here as much as I'd like to, and especially not morning like we usually are accustomed to, going over some updates in the cases, because I take these videos and I turn them into other videos that go out to other places. So, what is it said? I haven't gone to sleep, got off my live. Oh, gotcha. Well, everybody got to work, right? Everybody got to work. So there's a couple things that, and I'm not going to address it outside of this here on TikTok, and people can take it and chop it if they want to record it, clip it, whatever. It doesn't really bother me one way or another. I've been hearing, people are starting to engage in some mudslinging here on the streets of TikTok, and I don't engage. I'm not going to engage. I went through 3 years of nonstop bullying on YouTube. I've had to sue somebody over it. I'm not dealing with it. I just won't deal with it. So this is just a message. I cover these cases. I cover victims. I cover true crime. I do not cover drama. I do not cover personality conflicts. I don't cover petty squabbles. I don't cover BS, okay? When you start doing that, then you're not victim focused. I'm a victim focused advocate. I work my tail off. I do a lot of stuff. So anybody that wants to attack Bullhorn Betty, you're barking up the wrong tree. I don't do anything wrong and not worth your time. We're here for a purpose, a specific purpose. And, 3 years into this industry full time, I can tell you that at this point, I've got enough name to say I don't have to engage in this nonsense. We are not going to engage in this nonsense, and that's for all platforms involved. We are the true crime genre. That means we stay focused on victims and victims' cases. We focus on bad guys. We don't focus on things that happened 20 years ago. That's absolutely fruitless, stupid, and a waste of time, okay, that we're not going to engage in. So that's kind of just like the housekeeping items I have. So for all those that are joining in, I'm Bullhorn Betty. I cover true crime, and I'm covering the case of Sebastian Rogers. Sebastian Rogers is a 15-year-old autistic boy that disappeared from his home in Hendersonville, Tennessee. And the only person at home when he disappeared, according to all of the reports, is his mother. His mother that has been abused from the time she was a child on up to her adulthood. It sounds like she's still in some type of toxic relationship. It sounds like she married out of a toxic relationship in hopes to have a normal life. and then ended up having a disabled child. So it's there is a lot. None of these cases that we cover are ever really good. There's a lot of history in these cases. So we have to focus on the here and now and the information related to the victims and what happened to the victims. That's my only focus. If we started getting into every single thing everybody did in every single one of these cases, we would literally be stuck on stupid for literally months before we ever got to the meat and potatoes of these cases. So we have been talking about a lot of the statements that Chris and Katie have been making and how they're contradicting each other and how they don't make sense from one point to another. And one of those things are related to him walking out the door, because it is my belief that that boy never left that home. A lot of people believe that child never came to that home. And while I understand your position and why you feel that way, I'm not in that position. I feel opposite. So I can't really explain a side of a statement that I have no knowledge of, right? Because I don't believe it. So it makes it very difficult for me to express it on my channel. An area a topic I don't understand too much, because I really believe he came home. And the reason why I believe he came home is because his shoes are there and he took out the garbage. So I do believe that he made it back from the Texas Roadhouse. However, I feel like something happened inside that home with his mom. I feel like, a lot of people have been talking about this overstimulated day and how overstimulation kind of makes the autistic child a little more aggressive and a little more grumpy, a little harder to handle. So I feel like something like that or on that realm may have happened. But I'm not excluding even a lot of people talking. I know one of Seth's series that he publicly stated, well, he didn't publicly state it. Nancy Grace publicly stated it on his behalf without his permission, but stated that they believe, that he believes that she may have accidentally given him too much medication. Some people believe it was an accident or not an accident. Some people like me believe that it wasn't a medication issue at all, that there was more violence associated with it. Katie hasn't really been acting right. Like even the most recent interview, if you listen to her voice, I think I need to go to Bed Crime Stories, because I think Bed Crime Stories has taken a lot of the stuff out. So let me go to Bed Crime Stories, and I want you to hear Katie's voice. Here we go. I want you to hear Katie's voice in these, because in my opinion, she is too calm. She's too calm. Let me see if I can do this.
So, once he...
Right here.
...him to get, accustomed to that. He's been in them for years and years now, so he's used to it. But, hats. He likes hats, but he can't stand wearing them.
Okay.
So he tries, but he only manages to wear them for, a few minutes, and then he's like, yeah, I'm done. Get it off me.
In a good question or two, they never do that. It's all about silly stuff, like drinks and cake pops. Were they all hungry? Do they all love sweets? Is that
why she's kind of dogging whoever gave this interview, because it was a real crap interview, I mean, no information. They talked about food and drinks. You've got the parents of a missing child. You have an opportunity to get real information to help, either disprove or prove their position. And you're talking about cake pops and soda. It was absolutely a hot mess express. So, but the one point I'm trying to make for all of you guys is notice how calm Katie's voice is. She has a medically needy son she hasn't seen. She's never been away from this child this long. And she's talking just like we're talking right now. She's having a conversation. She's not a wreck. She's not in tears. She's not breaking down every time she says her son's name. She's just chill. I don't know if I've ever seen, it's just weird to me. Listen to how calm this lady's voice is. Let me just go past just a little bit of this lady's voice.
Focusing on all this, Jen won't touch, and I'm not interested how she feels about her carbonated beverages. And it is very telling that Katie and Chris do not steer the conversation toward Sebastian. They
Not
aren't trying
the
to
whole
get
time.
a message to him, as in, Sebastian, if you can hear me. They aren't pleading with the public to say it's 3 months, but we're not giving up. Please keep looking for him.
Those are the, you know what, I've glossed over this because, I really just want you guys to hear her voice, but trying to find Katie's voice in this and hearing Bed Crime Stories commentary, I agree 100% with her commentary. Like, who gives a crap? Why aren't they talking more about Sebastian? Why is Katie and Chris, they have an opportunity to wear his shirt, to put his face up, but every time he goes on this, you don't see their faces, you don't see anything. They don't even put a thumbnail with Sebastian's photo on it. So at least they're advertising Sebastian, and Sebastian's face, like literally nothing on these podcasts. They just have blank screens, not even a photo of their missing child. It's crazy. So I'm gonna let you guys listen to, because I'm nodding my head with Bed Crime Stories here, with just about everything that she's saying in this commentary. Like, why aren't they doing this and why aren't they doing that? Which really kind of solidify why I'm honing in on them, because their behavior is bizarre. Normal people don't act like this. I guarantee you, as a parent, would have to be asking yourself, how can these people be so calm? I don't have children. I married into children. I've got 5, step grandchildren. 2 of them I don't really know that well because their father didn't know the child that well, So the 3, they're my babies. They call me today, I would be on a plane going to Ohio. You know what I'm saying? I love my grandchildren. I can't imagine if I heard news that one of my grandchildren were missing, I would be a blubbering wreck. You know what I'm saying? And people would say, oh, well, Betty, when was the last time? My grandchildren live in a different state. We don't see them. Grandpa, which I'm divorced from now, whenever they come in, he lets me know. What do you do? Right? Does that mean that we should not be out looking for them, that we don't love them? And that goes back to Seth. Why is everybody beating up on Seth when he's the only one out there fighting for his kid? Stupid.
We're not hearing any urgency in their voices, and we're certainly not hearing any emotion.
Yeah, I think so.
Yep, the bubbles. He can't stand anything even lightly carbonated. He can't stand it. I think because he's got sensory issues, but
there's the sensory issue comment that I was looking for yesterday, and that's going to dovetail great into our show today, because the sensory issues, they have done nothing. They've done absolutely squat. And they're wanting to know why the whole world thinks they've had something to do with their, normal, boring child runaway story, right? And how great and, the best part about it is he left no evidence. The best part about him walking off, he left no evidence, according to Chris. The best part about it. His exact words. So, the sensory issues. I truly believe that this child never walked out of that home after coming back to that home from the Texas Roadhouse. I don't believe he ever left that house willingly. Whatever happened transpired inside that home and transpired with his mother. I now am confident about that, unless we can find evidence that supports Chris was home that weekend. But right now, everything that I've been able to corroborate states he was not home, and the neighbors did not see him that weekend. That's what I know. Now, was he able to sneak in? Did he go in there and park his vehicle in the garage and nobody saw him that weekend? Those are all good possibilities, but the information that we have right now in our possession, custody, and control state that Christopher Proudfoot was not home that weekend. That leaves Katie, and Katie alone. Period. And Katie was the one with this child when this child went to bed. She was there when this child was supposed to wake up, and he was gone. She says all the windows and all the doors were locked. That's what she said. That she could only assume that he walked out the door because that's the only door he could have locked. But they will not speculate whether they'll speculate that he walked out the door, but they will not speculate whether he put a jacket on. And they will not speculate, what if he didn't walk out the door? So I'm really looking at this statement, and I am fact-checking the crap out of Katie and Chris's story. And the very first thing that needs to be fact-checked in this story is whether or not this child could and would walk out that front door. There are several things that lead me to believe there is no way in God's green earth this child walked out the door. There is one clue that I got early on, and that was the neighbor's statement about him grabbing the mail. When he grabbed the mail, he skipped to the front door. He was a happy boy. They said how happy he was, smiling, skipping, enjoying life, right? Goes to the front door, can't get in, turns around, goes to the garage door, and goes in the house. A very, very specific statement of behavior of Sebastian. So why didn't he plug in the code to the door? That's where everything kind of started for me. But I felt like I was on the wrong track with that because I felt like that was related to the dog hit. I kind of focused that on the dog hit. These have been my thoughts from the start. In my opinion, 3 hour was an argument she snapped afterwards. Possibly. Or she snapped before, and that the whole purpose of the 3 hour conversation is her calling her husband saying, oh crap, you won't believe what I did. What do I do? I can't believe it. Trying to calm her. You know what I'm saying? It could be. But the 3 hour is bothersome. But when it comes to whether or not Sebastian walked out the door or walked out of the house, I don't believe he did. We just heard his mother talk about his sensory issues. So we have sensory issues when it comes to this case. And so I researched some sensory issues with spectrum, with autism, and we discussed this last night. People may experience sensory issues when it comes to cold or hot weather. Okay? Because we heard that it was, it was pretty cold out and this child left the home without shoes. Then, because I'm learning about autism. I didn't realize autism, you have sleep problems with autism. I didn't realize that they would blow up if, say, something wasn't on the menu. I didn't realize that autism made you do things in a certain order. I didn't realize autism was one of these things where you had to have a structured life in order to thrive successfully with this disability. I didn't know that, but I'm learning that, right? And so I'm learning a lot about this, and one of the things I'm learning is about these sensory issues and how they affect children. Sensory issues can be a lot of different things. It doesn't have to just be touch. It can be sound. It can be sight. It can be smell. It's your sensory, okay? So she's saying he has sensory issues. He has problems with things touching him. He has an allergy. We found out without a doubt that she states that he has a grass allergy. Let's keep listening. I kind of think it's right here. So we're at 1307. Let me just back this up to maybe 1240. There we go. We'll back it up to here. We'll listen. Let me put Sebastian's face up here. Oops.
And they aren't trying to get a message to him, as in, Sebastian, if you can hear me. They aren't pleading with the public to say it's 3 months, but we're not giving up. Please keep looking for him. We're not hearing any urgency in their voices, and we're certainly not hearing any emotion.
Yep, the bubbles. He can't stand anything even lightly carbonated. He can't stand it. I think because he's got sensory issues, but each kid, person, everything is, unique to them. And for him, carbonation is a hard no. Never drank a soda a day in his life. He's had a sip and hated every single time.
So he doesn't like weird feelings. So he has sensory issues to the carbonation. That's one of the sensory issues. Do you know about CP's uncle in Alaska that's a therapist of some kind? He took a leave of, absence. I didn't hear that. I don't know if he has family in Alaska. It's my understanding that the trip to Alaska was for business for Terry, which I do believe was a BS excuse for them just to leave. So sensory integration issues are common with the spectrum. Yeah. And so that brings us to, would he have walked out of the house? Let's look at this. Let's look at this real quick. Would he have actually walked out of the house? Would he have walked out of the house with these sensory issues in the cold with no shoes on? That's the question. Because they're wanting us to believe that he walked out of the house willingly without shoes and ran away from home. But if he has sensory issues and it was freezing cold out and he had no shoes on, it seems like that would have triggered a major sensory episode in him, because he can't stand the pain. There's the reason why he wears his shoes is because he stepped in an ant pile. It was a very specific event that caused him to start putting shoes on each and every time, and it comes down to this event with ants. So something hurt him and it triggered him to make a change. So what would make us think that he would walk out in the freezing cold weather with no shoes? And if we know how 30-degree, 27, 28-degree weather is, the tips of your fingers get so numb they hurt. So how does a child that has sensory issues go through that pain and still manage to keep going without breaking down? It doesn't seem like it would bode with their disability. And again, their disability is something that they cannot control. So it's out of his control to act this way. So he would just act this way because he has no control over how he acts. And his parents have stated that multiple times. He's got problems understanding personal space. He's got, he has a difficulty time picking, getting friends because of these personal issues, not knowing boundaries and limitations and stuff like that. So they're saying this. And then she makes another fatal mistake in all of this, because they keep forgetting their story and they keep forgetting how one thing links to another. So now, in addition to finding out he has these sensory issues to feelings, we're also learning he's allergic to grass and pollen. So he has sensory issues. He always puts shoes on. And he has allergies to grass and pollen, and yet he's out rolling in grass and pollen with bare feet. So they're basically telling us in their own statements that there is no way their own child would walk out this door, even though they're trying to tell us that he would. All of their statements about his behavior are expressing how there is no possibility he would. So they're making these critical mistakes and don't even realize it. How can you explain this boy having grass allergies and sensory issues and walking out of the door with no shoes and willingly? It doesn't make sense. And then you get to the video games and how much the video games mean to this boy, and him leaving everything that he would naturally take with him. God, I want to read this to you. I get a lot of emails from my audience. I want to thank you guys all here that do participate in this. I've got several emails that I want to read to you. They're short, but I think they'll help. This comes from one of my female subscribers. And it says, in my experience, autistic kids usually have sensory issues with clothes, tags, seams, etc. They may only want to wear short or long pants, or even if inappropriate for the weather. Texture of food, loud noises, large crowds. All of these seem to be very common in autistic kids that I know. A few have really bizarre issues. I have known 2 severely autistic kids that would not use their thumb to grip a sippy cup or glass. Another one with autism, my grandson, this is a good one. My grandson is a high functional autistic. He's now 23 years old. He's a whiz in math. But his quirks are he will not go across the floor, much less go outside without shoes on. He gets up, he gets dressed, and socks and shoes go on. If he goes to the restroom at night, he shoes and phone go with him. If he goes anywhere, his phone and tablet go with him. If he spends the night anywhere, his phone, tablet, and PlayStation go with him. That is as routine as breathing for him. He loves to fish and shoot his dad's guns as long as his dad is right there, but he will not hunt or shoot an animal. He cries if one is sick or hurt. That is why I will not believe he left without his phone and his shoes. So there's that. They said he specifically won't go outside without shoes after the incident with ants. Exactly. So, this stuff doesn't make sense. And we've got, other people with different, we have a whole host of people here with children or grandchildren or people they know with children on the spectrum and what they're going through. And, they're able to kind of explain or break stuff down. Our highly autistic nephew is the same. See? So we have a lot of people that have this experience. And so they've really been guiding me here. And I've got to trust them because these people, it seems like their stories are similar but different. Because that's the one thing. Just like a thumbprint, autism, is unique from individual to individual. Another beautiful lady sent more information about, what can trigger them. And this one says people with autism have sensory issue to sight, sound, smell, touch, taste, balance, awareness of body position and movement, awareness of inner body cues and sensations. So they're lacking a lot of those situations when you're dealing with an autistic child. And here's another one. It says, can autistic people have sensitive to temperature? Studies have shown that individuals with ASD may be more sensitive to changes in temperature than typically developing individuals. This means that even sight changes in the environment, such as changes to room temperature, could impact their ability to regulate their own body temperature. They flap when uncomfortable or mad. Yeah, my son's program requires a quarterly fire drill, and my son takes too long because he wants to put on shoes. Mine wore hoodies every day. Yeah, any changes, routine, anything causes freakouts. So, we're hearing this. So, again, I have my personal beliefs when it comes to Katie and Chris, personally. I have my own personal beliefs. But those are based upon me processing this. And I try to bring you guys along with some of my processing because I think that you need to understand what leads me to my conclusions that I do. I look at a whole host of things. I don't just listen to this parent and say, oh, yeah, this parent, I feel that this parent is guilty, so I'm going to take the position that this parent is guilty. It has nothing to do with that. We fact check the statements. This is one of their statements. We are fact checking. We're fact checking. Is there a possibility? Because they're telling us this child walked out the door, but in the same sense that they're telling us this child walked out the door, they're on this panel and this panel and this panel and this panel telling us about this child and all of his quirky stuff. So if he has all these quirky stuffs, please explain to me how he walked out the door. They're talking out of both sides of the mouth. Did he walk out the door or did he not? Explain to me if he walked out the door, how these sensory issues didn't cause him to freak out, how the temperature didn't cause him to freak out. Explain to me how he did not take anything with him when those things are literally they're like breathing for him. They're not answering those questions, and as a matter of fact, avoiding them. Avoiding the questions altogether. So this is part of our fact checking. Is it possible that Sebastian even walked out the door? Every time I hear a statement, every time I clip them, every time, he's allergic to grass. He's got sense. How in the world did this child go out without literally having a major meltdown? It doesn't make sense to me. But that's what they're wanting us to believe. I noticed KP didn't begin using autism verbiage until the second interview. Wow, interesting. Interesting. I'll have to go back and check that out. And even the second interview, we're 3 months into this. When has Katie broke down? Like, she can say her son's name and laugh and giggle and go motorcycle shopping and pack an RV up and go camping with her husband for weeks on end and, live her best life ever all of a sudden. But she seems like she's really happy. I mean, let's listen. I mean, she seems like she's happy. I don't know about you, but this lady seems like she's very content in her life. You wouldn't even know she's missing a child.
He didn't like that, but he likes his sugar in a different format, not in a liquid format then. Yeah, unless it's like chocolate milk. Right. Yeah, so it's got to be the carbonation bubbles then. Yeah, carbonation specifically. Because, I do the flavored waters, and he was really into it with me. So every day we'd go and we'd make our, little water talks, and we'd do different recipes. We got a whole water bar set up, and he'd help me pick out flavors. And
It's actually astonishing that they can talk about carbonated beverages for such a long time. It's like, can we address the elephant in the room? Your son is missing.
Yeah, that's why I don't go. That the channel that they did this interview on is well known for backing criminals. The channel is well known for supporting the Wells, Don and Candace Wells, financing them, helping them raise money. That's the kind of channel that Katie and Chris are now going to for help and support for them. And so when I start seeing parents go to these channels that protect bad guys, it's kind of hard not to think that they're a bad guy, And so I'm seeing them making their rounds on very specific channels that protect and fight for bad guys, people that have done terrible things to their children. So that raises my eyebrows, That does raise my eyebrows quite a bit. So where are we in this case? What do you think? I want to see some of your comments down here. I'm going to give you guys a few minutes. I'm going to be signing off here soon. But I guess, what do you think happened? Well, if the first question is the topic of conversation, do you believe that this child walked out the door? If you believe this child walked out the door, it's obviously different than my opinion. So if you do believe he walked out the door, if you could kindly express why you believe that, maybe I'm not looking at something that would be beneficial for me. So if you are one, no, he didn't. So the majority of the consensus of our room, she snapped. And we'll address that too, the snapping versus no, he didn't walk out. Yeah. That's kind of where I'm at with this, is I just don't believe, because of everything. This is not stuff, like I said, I know nothing about this illness. I know nothing about Sebastian. I know nothing about, I'm learning all of this from his parents, from his mom, dad, and stepfather. And they're the ones telling us this. They're the ones telling us about his sensory issues. They're the ones telling us about his allergies. That's not me making this stuff up. That's coming right from them, and I'm applying it to the information that we have. This is the first time I started talking about whether he walked out. I mean, I made statements that I don't believe he walked out of the house, but literally challenging in fact-finding whether it's plausible or not. This is the first time we've actually started looking into this, because it's just now becoming noticeable that he had these other issues that we were unaware of, or maybe we thought that they were there, but now we have concrete evidence that he does have sensory issues and he has allergies, because the mom has now told us. So that leads us to this topic of conversation that I started yesterday afternoon, and we're still working on today because of these statements that his mom made. Because now that she made those statements, it doesn't bode in with their prior statements. And so that's causing me a little concern. The snapping, I want to address that as well. No, he had too many sensory issues. Yeah, I believe he left in KP's car in the garage. Actually, you know what? Lisa, let me talk about that. Let me put that on here. How did he leave? How left? I asked my mod, I'm waiting for her, she's got her hands full and she's so busy, but she did an overlay for me. Actually, she did for her channel, but she was able to share it with me. So I was really, really, really thankful for it. And she did the light source and then the overlay of the house. I think there was a car at that. I think that, everybody keeps saying that at one point it appeared that there was floodlights on. I don't think those were floodlights. I think a car turned their lights on and turned them off. And I think the flashlights went toward the light. I think it was at that point, whoever was sitting over in that construction site, I think that's the way they went out. What door on their home is the closest to those light sources that were going toward that construction site or coming back from that construction site? That is truly the way I think Sebastian exited the home. I think if he was placed in her car, then the cameras would have picked up the headlights and the garage door opening. They did something more secretive than that. I think those light sources were the removal, at that time. But you know what? That's only one theory, because I have to come back to the other theory of Chris leaving the house once he came back to go pick up his camper and him being gone for 17 hours. That is a big possibility. Now, as far as snapping or, the over-medication, the only way I really believe that the over-medication theory is possible is if it was premeditated. Because I feel like Katie, if she accidentally did something or if she accidentally over-medicated him, I feel like she would have called law enforcement for help. I feel like if this was an accident that was truly an accident, she would have called law enforcement. I feel like the only reason why somebody wouldn't call law enforcement if it was clear on its face that this was not an accident. So that's where I would think, lack of oxygen or a crack, like on the head or something like that. They are so calm. That's my biggest problem with all of this is I've never seen parents so calm, except Don and Candace Wells. They were able to say and envision some of the most horrific things happening to their daughter after she disappeared, and just keeping a straight face and just having a casual conversation like it was no big deal. It was highly disturbing for me then. It's still highly disturbing for me now. And we have the Proudfoots in some part acting in similar fashion, and it doesn't make me feel comfortable at all. But the number one thing is did Sebastian walk out of the house or not? Because that has to be the very first question we answer. And I don't see, with everything that Chris and Katie and Seth have described Sebastian and his behaviors, it just doesn't bode with what they're trying to get us to believe. It just doesn't bode with the facts of Sebastian. Sebastian is an autistic boy that does things very specifically and particularly. And in this particular time, he just throws caution to the wind when he doesn't have the capability of throwing caution to the wind. So I don't know. Wouldn't cameras catch him leaving? Well, there was activity. Remember I said that the cameras are not going to be able to pick up anything at that time of night, anything other than haze. But they were able to pick up activity, weren't they? I mean, we do have activity. We have a light activity around 3 a.m. Even though we can't see what it is, we can see something's going on. I think there's a lot of that kind of stuff going on. They may not be able to see the person, but they can definitely see there's some activity going on. And what's that activity in conjunction with the lights going on inside their home? Was the lights going on and off inside their home that night? I mean, I have to think that there were some lights going on, that those lights should have been picked up by the cameras. They had to have turned on even Sebastian, him walking out of the house, he would have had to turn on a light to see how to get around this or how to get around that or to get something. You would think. I don't know if he would be just walking around aimlessly in the dark. So, I don't know. I really don't know. I honestly believe that based upon Chris and Katie's statements, their statements, their own statements that there's no way that this child would have walked out of the house without shoes and would have walked out of that house without being bundled up because of his sensory issues and his allergies. He's allergic to grass. How's a boy walking on grass in bare feet when he's allergic to the stuff? So Terry did something with her stepson, Kyron Harmon, in 2010. Well, Letitia Stout did something with her stepson. I hate how they laugh. I don't like anything that they do. I'm allergic to grass and I walk on the grass. Well, what is the allergy? I guess. Angela, maybe you can help me understand that. So Angela has an allergy to grass and walks on grass. Does it do something to your feet? I mean, what is a grass allergy? Does it just make you sneeze a lot? Does it clog your nose? I mean, I guess I'm not understanding. So we'll wait here. It's more of laying and rolling in grass, like hives. Oh, okay. Angela, do you get hives when you get little red itchy? Oh, see, he wouldn't like that. If he had he's not gonna. There's no way. If he's got grass allergies and they make him itchy, and he's got sensory issues, I don't know, guys. I don't know. It just seems like it gets more and more bizarre. Not every time. Angela says not every time, though. She doesn't break out in them every time. But she does walk in the grass. But do you have sensory issues by chance, Angela? Just out of curiosity. I know my son don't like the feel of grass. And that's another thing. Would he like the feel of grass between his feet? Would he like the feel of cold, damp wetness on his feet? You know, from dew? If he has sensory issues? Even if he walked out in socks, they would get wet, right? I mean, wouldn't he have sensory issues with the wetness of the socks? Sav says, we're all allergic to grass if it has some freshly cut. Oh, it puts out an enzyme. Okay, that's interesting. I know my son does. Okay, I think I read that. We sneeze, other people get rashes. Okay, gotcha. How come they don't have the cameras knowing it's... Yeah, that's been a question. I keep wondering if they had like a Ring doorbell or a Blink and just not a Brink system. Because she paused in that Nancy Grace interview entirely too long when she asked her about the cameras. I'm allergic to grass. The pollen causes sinus issues, also itchy, so grass hives. Okay, so now that brings me up another question. If you have sensory issues, would you intentionally go out without shoes onto something that could give you a rash or make you sneeze? No? No way? Okay. Mid 700s, 75 is considered high. Okay. So, I think this is like what I'm saying. This is what I try to do. I try to see whether their theories hold water. No, because he didn't walk out the door. Yeah. To see if what they're saying could hold water. And based on their own statements, it doesn't seem like Sebastian would have willingly walked out of the front door without shoes, jacket, or something. And also... we have to look at the fact that he loved games. That's another thing that his mother and his father and his stepfather have drilled into us about the games. How could a kid with autism walk out the door without his Switch? His beloved game that I'm absolutely confident that he played with as much as he could. So we have a lot to think about. So those are some talking points. I hope you guys discuss them out, while you guys are in other people's lives and stuff. Bring these topics up. See what other people, how other people feel about this. Because it just, I'm learning from my audience. I really am. I'm learning from my audience about this stuff. And the more I'm learning, the more what Katie and Chris are saying just doesn't appear like it's a possibility, let alone a probability. So I'd like to keep going down this road for a little bit. So we may be on this topic for a little bit, discussing some stuff around that morning and around that evening, his possibility of leaving, his possibility of escape, where he would possibly go. He doesn't really have a sense of direction, which is another problem I have. This kid has no sense of direction. I don't know. It just, the more I'm looking into his demeanor and who Sebastian is as a person and his behaviors, it just seems, it's becoming less and less probable that he willingly walked out a front door. Kyron Harmon. Okay, hold on. Let me write that down. Kyron Harmon. Okay, I got it written down. I'll take a look at it today. He left the house without shoes, but not because he walked out. Yeah, exactly. I think they forgot to put his shoes on. That's the only reason why his shoes were there. Something happened in that house. They scooped him. And she's probably one of those people that, when they walk in the house, they have to take their shoes right off because her house is immaculate. And that's the way, like, Chronicles of Olivia's mom is, my mom is. Like, take your shoes off, right? Those clean, like, we have clean freaks out there. And most of the clean freaks in my life have MOM as their first name, okay? I don't know how that happens, but something with the MOM name, right? But my mom is the same way. The minute I walk in her house, take your shoes off, right? So if something happened in my mother's house with me, and my shoes would be sitting at the front door, because I take my shoes off when I walk into my mom's house. So there is that. There is that. All right, guys. Well, thank you guys for being up so early with me this morning. It was nice catching up with you. Angela says it's bad to wear shoes in the house with outdoor allergies. Oh, great point, Angela. See, another thing that I'm not thinking about. That's where KP and Seth said his shoes stay. Yeah, exactly. So, again, oh, hey, Joey, it's nice to see you. You're up awfully early this morning. So that really is it. I don't know. I'm going to leave it up to you guys. Do you think he walked out of the house? Do you not? Every time I turn around, Chris and Katie are giving me more and more reasons that he did not willingly walk out of the house. Never. I'll be in Fort Myers for a month. Oh, nice. I don't know where I'll be. I'm still down in my car. It's they're hopefully get it back today, but it's been just a wild ride. It's been a $4,000. My whole fuel system failed. I will never believe he walked out. Neither will I. Did you hear the psychic that had a dream he got locked out and was wandering and got hit by a car? That doesn't make sense. They would have evidence of that. You can't get hit by a car without there being major evidence. And not only that, the dogs would have tracked. Because I can tell you, in Michael Monkey Vaughn's case, the dogs tracked right to the spot where he was abducted from. So if people had thought that maybe he got hit by a car, and I said the dogs, no. If that was the case, then the dogs would have even if there was no blood there, they would have smelt the broken skin, the things that you can't see, like the skin cells that are left on the gravel and stuff like that. So I find that hard to believe just by processes. But who knows? I would think that if somebody got hit by a car, they're either left there where they got hit, or the people call 911 and get them help. I don't really know of any other, type of accidents. Woke up, can't fall back asleep. That's my problem too, Joey. That's my problem too. That's like my 2 or 3 o'clock in the mornings. Not taking his meds either. Yeah, he's got to be, if he was out there, he would be acting really wild, in my opinion. He would be just, it's hard for me to believe. It's just hard for me to believe. All right, guys. Well, I've given you guys enough to sit there and gnaw on. Again, I'm staying focused on this case. We're doing fact finding. We're taking their statements and seeing if they hold weight. So far, I'm not seeing him walking out that front door. Nothing has convinced me that has come out of Katie and Chris's mouth that would possibly make me feel like this child at this point walked out the door. Chris and Katie are contradicting that statement every single time they go on another channel. And I'm writing them down and sucking them up, right? And applying them to my case. And what they're telling on one side of the thing, he's got sensory issues. He always puts his shoes on, and now he has allergies to grass. So what would make this child just all of a sudden wake up one day and walk out into all of this if he's allergic to just about everything? Doesn't make sense. All right, guys, rock it out with your coffee beans out. Don't forget to be fearless. If you see something, say something. An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. And until next time, you guys be safe. And more importantly, kind to one another. Stop all the bullying. Stop all the bitching. Stop all the griping. And please don't bring it to my front door, because nobody likes me when I get grumpy. I can tell you that. Love you and God bless.